Hey everyone, talking about Buck Denver this week. We're talking about the kings, first and second kings. You know, Israel had a lot of kings. In fact, there were two nations of Israel, as we talked about before. There was Israel, and then there was Judah now. Judah is, of course, where the line of David comes from. That's the kingdom that had a couple of good kings, but most of the kings didn't follow God very well. Most of the kings didn't worship the Lord. But there were a few, like Josiah, Solomon. Most of them that did worship the Lord kind of only worship the Lord some of the time. Sound familiar? It does to me. It sounds like my life. I worship the Lord a lot of the time, but I screw up still. Then Israel, the other half of the country, only had a couple, really no kings that weren't pretty stinking bad. They had no kings that really followed God. A few kings that weren't the most evil people on the planet, but a couple of kings that were really, really bad. That's where last week's story of King Ahab and Jezebel came from. That was from that northern kingdom, the kingdom of Israel. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about the kings with all the evil that existed and all the evil that happened. I want to talk about Galatians chapter 5. As I said, sometimes we behave like that too, don't we? Galatians chapter 5, verses 16 to 23, gives a contrasting view. Contrasting meaning this versus this. Gives a contrasting view of what it means to follow the Spirit, what it means to have the Spirit of God living inside of you. And so Galatians chapter 5, starting verse 16, it gives a list. It says, there are some things that are fruits of being human. Fruits of the flesh, it calls them. It says, if you're a human, then what comes natural to you are things like hatred and anger and getting upset and disobedience. Those kinds of things are natural, right? They're natural to you, aren't they? Do you disobey your parents? Do you get angry at your brothers and sisters? Do you sometimes lash out in anger? And yeah, those are natural. It's part of being human. But in Galatians chapter 5, God says, but there's a different kind of fruit, right? A fruit is what a tree produces. So if the fruit of our flesh, the thing that we produce is kind of anger and lying and hatred and disobedience. If that's what our flesh produces, God says there's also a fruit of the Spirit. The Spirit of God, when He lives inside of us. Sorry about that. That's my doorbell that tells me somebody just drove in the driveway. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. These are the fruit of the Spirit. When God lives inside of us, the fruit of the Spirit will come from us. Will we be completely free from lying and anger? Nope, because those things are of our flesh, and we still live in human bodies. But God is changing us if He lives inside of us. And He's causing us to produce more fruit that is of the Spirit. John actually tells us in some of his books that's a good test, actually, to know if you're saved. In 1 John, he says, if you want to know if you're a Christian, what kind of fruit are you producing? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. These are the fruit of the Spirit. Look for those inside your own life. Follow God, and He'll produce those in you. Until next time, have a wonderful week. Have a happy and wonderful 2021. God bless, and I'll see you soon.